Gay. If you said that word 50 years ago, people would assume you meant light-hearted, joyous and carefree. But today, it means the exact opposite. Homosexual. But it is not mere colloquialism that's caused this word's meteoric rise to iconic status. Over the last 5 decades, gays become the accepted culture in this country, and increasingly the world. I've just had sex with this woman. I don't know her name, but we're part of a small but growing community of single people who meet in the car park behind Bridlington Leisure Centre and Baths for anonymous, non-gay, heterosexual intercourse. Tonight, on Frankly, we discuss how gay became the mainstream and how heterosexuality, a once prosperous reproductive tradition, has become one of the last great taboos. The place, 1955, the year, London. This was a town literally swarming with heterosexuality. Rarely would a man even meet eyes with another for fear of being put in the stocks. The few known gays in the city were legally obliged to wear a numbered button on the tunic for safety purposes, and so that police could identify them easily. Now things have turned right around full circle. How did this happen? We needed an expert, someone who knew the full ins and outs of the gay phenomenon. Steps Leviathan went to Lentley to find one, and found one in Lentley.
Lentley used to be the veritable straight capital of Britain. Now this lamppost is all that remains of a straight community that used to live in this a once popular borough of London, home only now to no one, save but for one man. The man, Terrington Parthenon, Professor of Gay at the University of Guernsey. Him and his team of researchers unearthed dazzling special new evidence. Evidence that proves that gays are descended from
a different species.
A species similar to human, but not similar enough to be the same.
We discovered that gays are actually descended from a species known as Homo zhivago.
Is it a different species?
Yeah. To the naked layman's eye, the Homo zhivago wouldn't be very much different from the Homo sapien. But if you knew where to look, for example, rather than a regular anus, the Homo zhivago species had what is known scientifically as a vaginus, one of 2 reproductive organs which they possessed. They would in fact have been able to reproduce asexually and been self-sufficient if it weren't for the extreme level of physical contortion necessary to perform such an operation. As it was necessary for them to interbreed, and that's why we now have the modern gay who doesn't have a vaginus, but there are still some physical differences. For example, the Van Cleef gland, which it takes the form of an Adam's apple at the base of the spine, and this controls a gay's ability to differentiate between left and right. Another physical difference still prevalent in the modern gay is a difference in skin. Gays have different skin from straights. It's much like a sponge. If you place a gay in water for 20 minutes, if you want, having weighed him beforehand and then weigh him afterwards, then you'll notice that not only have they increased significantly in weight, but also the water level in the pool or bath or whatever you place them in has significantly decreased. The gay skin is very absorbent in that respect.
We've heard that puberty can be different for a gay boy.
Yes. Well, you see, whereas a straight man will experience puberty over, a long period of time during his teens, a gay man will reach puberty on exactly his 16th birthday. Exactly. There's no give or take. That's why gay men born on the 29th of February don't reach puberty until they are 64.
Why is
Which,
that?
well, because they only have a birthday every 4 years. And it's quite tragic, really. Most of life is wasted by that point. The very fact that puberty is such a sudden process for gays has some severe psychological effects. There are some things which are inescapable. For example, a gay man who has experienced puberty will no longer be able to differentiate between crockery, dinnerware. A plate looks very much to a gay man like a cup or a bowl. There's no difference as far as they can see.
So just what happened? How did a good culture turn so drastically gay? We bent the ear and lips of media veteran Blaine Whist for his views on the gay revolution.
Well, I think most of the revolution happened over the 60s, 80s and 70s, and I think probably, well, certainly in the music industry anyway, the man most instrumental in that was gay singer-songwriter Wolf Burrows.
What was it like being a singing gay, brought up in London in the 1960s?
Well, I mean, back then, in the 1960s in London, there was a lot of, there was a lot of ignorance, naivety. Nobody really knew what gay was anyway. So, people would go out, they'd buy the record, they'd listen to it happily, and not realise that they were offended until they were told later by someone else.
And what about when the rumours started happening? There was about the when you play the LPs
When
backwards.
when they play them backwards.
There was the hidden messages.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that stuff about gay messages when you play it backwards, it was just, it's rubbish, really.
I have a quote that when you played it backwards, you could hear the sound of two men bumming, saying "Join us."
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was nonsense. The gay messages were there when you played it forwards. That was the point. It's gay music. It's music about being gay and about gays. So anyone who says there was gay messages in it when you played it backwards, that's nothing more than just coincidence.
At night we slept well in Wolfburrow's private chambers, and in the morning we were treated to a rare treat, the first live performance in 10 years of his most iconic song. Well, it had been 10 years after all.
All the physical differences you mentioned before only apply to gay men.
Mm-hmm.
What about the women?
Lesbians?
Lesbians.
Well, we've discovered that unlike male gayism, lesbianism is purely psychological. It's a mind condition. I mean, a woman just thinks she's attracted to another woman. It's a brain problem.
Is this what trying to fit in, or?
No, it's a form of madness. It's the actions of a crazy person.
And what about bisexuals?
Well, bisexuals are still very much, as I'm sure you're aware, frowned upon. Almost as much as left-handed people.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, nowhere in the 7 deadly sins is straight or gay mentioned. Greed, on the other hand, is a deadly sin. And as far as I'm concerned, bisexuality is greed and a mortal sin punishable by fate worse than death. Or, in some cases, even worse.
Fate worse than death. It's very bad.
Yeah. See, the problem with the bisexual is it's the kind of person who wants to have his cake and have sex with it. You know, in my eyes, if you want to be liked, if you want to be popular, stop trying to have your finger in every pie and start fingering one pie consistently.
Enter Brian Mutchies. In fact, don't. He's as straight as they come. He's one of the plethora of straight men left in an invidious position after the sudden gay massive majority explosion.
So what's life like for you as, you know, an open and out straight man on the modern street?
Well, I mean, you get groups of kids on the street, you know, throwing stones at you, shouting abuse, things like ladies man, front man, and family guy, and you know, you kind of got to try and learn to block it out, which can be hard sometimes. You get news agents giving you wrong change. You get taxi drivers dumping you in the wrong place. You know, people in clothes shops. You know, you'll take the clothes up to the counter and they'll quickly substitute it for other clothes that are either slightly too small or significantly too big. You know, and it's a nightmare, frankly.
What about outside work then? I mean, do you associate, well, do gay men associate with you outside work?
Yeah. I've got gay friends, sure.
Well, how exactly? I mean, presumably your life's quite different from theirs, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, take my gay friend Justin. He's a gay man, and you know, I'll wake up in the morning, eat my breakfast, whatever. He'll get up an hour later than me, not because he needs less time to get ready. He needs more sleep. Beauty sleepers, I don't know. Yeah. And you know, I'll walk to work, but he'll drive. You know.
I see. Well, I mean, how far do you walk to work?
Well, I just walk just across the road there. It's right there.
Right.
And he lives in Flitwick. But you know, I suspect that if he didn't live in Flitwick, he'd still drive. The only reason he lives in Flitwick is
so
to make sure he can
an excuse to drive to work.
Yeah, but he won't drive himself.
Alright. Well, okay. Well, what about actually sort of at work? How would you think your attitudes vary in terms of towards your work?
Well, my attitude is, you know, I get to work. I'm there to administrate. I'm the manager. I'm there to help and teach, and you know, work out a better way to work in the workplace.
Yeah.
He'll get to work and he's more preoccupied with cooking and making sure everything's clean.
Well, I mean,
you know,
Justin is.
Well, he's a chef.
Oh. Right.
And I'm a manager. But I still think that's a good example of how his attitude is different to mine. How a gay attitude is different than a straight attitude towards work.
So what about that? What about life after work then? I mean, getting home, relaxing.
Well, I'll get home from work, and you know, he'll get home, you know, quite late on in the day, much later than I get home.
Oh, is that? Do you think that's because he's more hardworking or more industrious, or?
No, his restaurant is different hours.
This restaurant has different hours, so is that why he gets up later in the day?
Yeah, obviously.
Right.
So why is life so difficult for men like Brian Mutcheese? Well, it's all down to one man, this man, him. President of the Gay and Lesbian Alliance, Coco LeBald.
Well, Mr. LeBald, it's an honour to have this opportunity to speak to you. How do you feel the role of the Gay and Lesbian Society has changed over the last 5 decades?
Well, when my grandfather started this company in 1951, that's him, the Alliance was primarily concerned with handing out pamphlets, leaflets, things like that. We don't do that anymore. We encompass a lot more aspects of people's lives. We deal a lot more with revenue. I mean, now there's nothing we can't do these days.
Yeah, really? Nothing?
Nothing.
Oh, so if I asked you...
Yes.
Well, so what changes have you made with that power?
Well, one of the first changes we made was to ban the sports or activities that one would consider laddish in style. Things like football, rally driving, shinty, things like that, they're gone. Sports like that, they lead to violence, and then to more violence. And then what have you got?
Exactly.
A big violence, and we can't have that.
No.
That won't do. So they're gone. But primarily our job is to police and monitor aspects like the police department, schools, restaurants. Schools, they're our primary focus, in that 50 years ago, gay people were made out to be perverts, criminals, pedophiles, murderers, things like that. But now we teach the children who the real enemy is. We make it very clear who the enemy is.
See, you mentioned the enemy. We've heard that a large percentage of the straight population have immigrated to a group of islands called the Hebes, just off the coast of Zanzibar, in an attempt to escape what they feel is a sort of tyrannical overlord. How would you respond to that?
If these people want to move and live in another country, that's their prerogative. I mean, I have nothing to say on it. They can do what they want.
Well, I mean, do these islands fall under your jurisdiction?
Yes, I believe so.
So, do you have any plans to enforce any kind of laws or anything?
Well, we do have something rather impressive planned for next year. I don't want to say too much, but what I will say is, if you think you've seen a really big tidal wave, think again.
Someone once said that with great power comes great responsibility. How would you reply to that?
Well, that's true. With a great power comes a great responsibility. But in some cases, in my case, the appeal of having this much power was that I didn't have to live up to the responsibility. I have the power not to live up to this responsibility.
I see. Thank you.
Hang on. What impact do you feel that this revolution has had on the world as a whole?
It just seems like the world has reverted back to an inverted version of what it once was there before. You know, and I'm just a lonely straight man. What have I got to say that won't be said a million times before?
Thank you.
So it seems we're all doomed. Oh well, I'm determined to make the most of it.
Next week on Frankly, we discuss accidents. Are they really accidents, or do they happen on purpose? And if so, for what purpose? And why?